Make lifestyle choices to enhance your well-being. This is Natural Inspirations. Hi, you're listening to Natural Inspirations Podcast, the show where we have conversations with local natural health experts to inspire your healthy life choices. Welcome to episode 31. I'm Chris Urquhart, publisher of Natural Awakenings magazine for the Space and Treasure Coast. Today, we're talking about tools for happiness with certified hypnotist Elizabeth Campbell. Get tips from Elizabeth on how to leverage your subconscious mind to remain stress-free. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Hi, Elizabeth. Thanks for talking with me today.
Hi, Chris. Thank you for having me talk with you today. It's a pleasure to be here.
My pleasure as well. So we're talking a little bit about in today's world, it's very easy to get drawn into some of the negative chatter and maybe we're finding it a little more difficult to keep ourselves centered and in a positive place compared to how we, maybe have in the past. So I'm hoping you can share some tips with us on how we might try and stay centered and aligned and a little more positive as we move through life.
Well, that's a great thought for all of us, really. So, yes, at this point, what I'm seeing from my clients is that whatever was bothering them to begin with before all of this pandemic hit, it's worse now. Mm-hmm. And personally, I have come to see that it's a lack of escape. If in the beginning, I could go to my office and not worry about what was going on at home. When I would come home, I was not worried about the office. Now my office is in my house. There is no escape. And I think that many people are going through that, pardon me. So it's nice if you can do two things. If you can avoid bringing in stress, and then if you can find an escape. And especially if it's brief and you can fit it into your day. So I have some ideas about both of those.
Awesome.
Okay. So as far as not bringing in the extra stress, it's really very practical if you understand what the subconscious does. If I turn on the news and I hear a news story about something bad that has happened, or I see scenes from a hospital with people having great difficulty with the pandemic. And then I keep the television on and I go to do something else and the news is still on and I hear about it again. And then I hear about something else. And then if I get busy and I leave the television on and it happens to be on a news station, then subconsciously I'm still hearing that. It's still playing in the background. So 1 hour it's one person talking about it. The next hour it's someone else talking about it. It's the same story. It's the same event. But to my subconscious, it is not the same story. It is another one. So your subconscious does not understand the difference between real and imagined. If you experience something, it's going in through your senses. It's going into the brain to be turned into something. So your optic nerve, your audio nerve, all of these things are working together to create something. So whatever goes into your subconscious has already gone through a process of what we call the imagination. So you can imagine something strongly. You can repeat to someone very emotionally what has happened to you or that you heard about. And your poor subconscious keeps recording it as another iteration of that same event. So by the end of the day, instead of what happened in that story happening once in your mind, it might have happened 25 times already. Right. So your stress level grows and consciously you don't even know what you've done. You would consciously say, well, that happened. But if I took you into trance and I asked you how many times you experienced that, you might say, oh, it's like 30 times. So during a normal day when you may be paying attention to what's happening in the outside world, by the end of the day, you may have heard the same news 25, 30 times. or even if you're thinking about it and imagining it, that's another time that your subconscious is going to believe it happened. So we have to mind what we're allowing in order to not, compound what's going on. Anything that is going to incite our emotion is going to go more definitely into the subconscious, because the subconscious will open up for emotion. So if you're watching a movie that makes you feel really, really sad, and maybe you're even crying, then when you walk away from the movie, you might still be feeling that sadness. It'll take a while to wear off, because if you were engaged emotionally, as I used to be at the AT&T commercials, the reach out and touch someone, I used to cry at those commercials, and because it touched a chord with me. And so then I felt very emotional about the family members I would be thinking of for a while after the commercial, every time. So it always got to me. So these things happen when we watch the news. They happen when a friend calls us and goes on and on about what they believe is problematic in the world. So if we limit that, if we're really very careful, yes, it's fine to watch the news, but when you're watching what is news commentary, they have the job of inciting your emotions. And they do it well. And you don't realize that then that's getting into your own subconscious. So, and basically the way they want it to. So,
what I'm hearing you saying is limit the news and limit people who are saying negative things, try and limit that type of conversation. But I also heard you say when we take these things in, we take them in through our imagination. So maybe we can also do the reverse. And you were saying that AT&T commercials, but also you could choose to watch something with a happy ending and intentionally bring in the positive things as well, correct?
Exactly. You can do that as well. So once something is there, and I'm going to use 9/11 as an example, once something is there, if I take people into trance and they have a fear of flying and it comes back to something from 9/11, I can find out that they have, their subconscious thinks this has happened, 100 times. And of course, then it's frightening. So can you then have enough positive things that are going to completely outbalance the negative? That's a lot of, I don't know if I can say a brand name, but that's a lot of television watching of happy endings that we might not have that much time. And so as a hypnotist, what I can do is guide people into a trance state. So you get into the theta brainwave, which is where you are when you're dreaming. And it's very restful. It's also very creative. So if you, even just listening to a recording, if you're getting into that theta brainwave and you're listening to something that's positive and something that has possibility thinking in it, something that's going to inspire the best in you, that will help more than anything else, more than watching movie after movie after movie with happy endings. That, because it's using the theta brainwave, is getting right to your subconscious, because that's what you have to do to get to your subconscious, is get the mind into the predominantly theta brainwave, which is the same as REM sleep.
So that would be more powerful than if I'm just maybe trying to choose and think a happy thought or use my imagination and imagine myself on a beach or something like that. This kind of skips that, right? It kind of, by going straight to the subconscious, it has a little more oomph. True? Is that what you're saying?
True, very true. I'm doing all the work in that case. If I've made a recording, I'm the one who's making sure you get to the theta brainwave. Because if you're all concerned and worried, you are in your emotions. You are already in a state of trance. But how do you switch that negative trance to a positive trance? But if you're listening to someone, you're following directions, it's just natural to go there in a relaxed way. I don't know if that.
Yeah. No, it's perfect. And I'm sure that has lots of benefits too after, I mean, how long would you have to spend? Are we talking about, an hour, or can you do it in a few minutes?
You can do it in a few minutes. And it's really a lot easier to get into that trance state than most people think. And sure, I know the techniques, so I'm going to use that. And it's going to get you there faster than you might imagine. So people who sit and meditate work for years to get to a certain state, but I can guide you there in minutes. And it's easy. It's just using the natural way that your mind actually works. And then once there, your blood pressure is more normal, your heartbeat is more normal, your physical stress and tension just melts away. So often just 5 minutes of trance will get rid of a tension headache. It'll just drain away. And if it's not a tension headache, it might still be there at the end, but any part of it that is anything that's related to muscle tension is going to release. It's beautiful. And people will think I've given them a major cure because now they're flexible. Well, for a little while after the trance you are, so it doesn't mean it's permanent, but just because of that release of the muscle tension. So you have that, which is just physical help because it's very nice for your body to be there. And then once there, depending on what words are being used, you're guided into a state of possibility, or just reminding yourself what it does feel like to feel safe. And because when you go into your own subconscious, it is a calm and peaceful and safe place, because there's a lack of conscious concern. So we're bypassing that and going into the place where things are more peaceful, especially if the words you're listening to are suggesting that that's where you go, if that makes sense. So I don't control anybody's mind. I just give you possibilities.
Right. Unlimited possibilities, which can be a wonderful thing. So we're going to include a nice little gift for anyone listening. And down below, we're going to give them the opportunity to download a short recording from you that can help them do exactly what you're talking about with a short trance. And it seems like it would be a great thing to download this and keep it as a tool maybe on my phone and handy, so that if I've been stuck in traffic, or I've just had an argument with my spouse, or I've been on social media and there's too much negative chatter and I got myself wound up over something that happened that I have zero control over, or any of those things, maybe click it on for 5 minutes and reset, realign, get back to that positive space, open ourselves up for wonderful things that can happen.
Perfect.
All of those great things, I may have missed some situations there.
There's a little, it's something that I would share when I would do lectures with the high school students, because they might be a little bit hesitant to going into trance. And I'd say, well, 20 minutes of good deep trance is equal in the rest, the effect on the body of rest, as 3 hours of sleep.
Oh, so what's 5 minutes? If I'm listening to
about 45 minutes.
Well, that's like a 45-minute nap.
It's a power nap.
Power nap.
We like to call it a power
nap.
nap.
That is an efficient power nap. I could work that into my day, I think.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. So maybe we aren't in a position where we can stop and listen to a trance recording. Is there another little tip that you have that might get us out of some negative self chatter, or maybe a little bit of a stress point where we just want to bring ourselves down a little bit?
I'm so glad you asked, because the subconscious, again, and that is, everything that I do works at the subconscious, why I keep referring to it. Your subconscious is responding to your conscious thinking. If you ask yourself a question, your subconscious will get to work finding an answer. So if you are super stressed, super worried, and you ask, how can I find peace in this situation today? How can I find joy in this situation today? And consciously, you may think there is nothing peaceful or joyful about this, but don't say that to yourself. Just say, how can I find peace today? What wonderful way you can really play with this. What wonderful way can I find peace today? What quick and easy way can I find joy in in the things that are happening today, and let it go. Just let it go.
So if I need to find my shoes, like not saying I'll never find my shoes, but
Right.
they're going to turn up.
You could say, I wonder when I'll find my shoes today.
Okay. Yeah. And then that lets your subconscious know it's got a problem to work on.
Not only that you want to know when, but that when is today. So yeah, I wonder when I'll find my shoes today.
Today. Yeah.
And that is hypnotic language. So it's a good tip. So it's a great question. Yeah, yes, you don't have to believe that it can happen. You just have to trust your subconscious enough to ask the question and let it go. And when I say let it go, I mean, don't keep checking back. Don't mistrust. Don't decide it can't happen. Just ask it. And your own brilliant subconscious mind now is looking for ways to answer that question.
Great tip.
You, of course, want it to be a positive question.
I like that. I can think of lots of ways to use my subconscious now that I know I can put it to work.
Curious to hear how it works out.
Yeah, I'll let you know. Well, Elizabeth, thank you so much for sharing your tips and your wisdom with us today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me be here. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. And everyone listening, be well, stay connected.
Yes.